Hello again, everybody. How you doing? It's me. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's safe and healthy. Let's continue to talk about common errors in student essays, and then I will go over a few important dates that we began discussing last time, and that's it for today. So here we go. Okay, if you will open up the Google Doc that I shared with you for today's video. The common error number 10 is unnecessary shift in pronoun. Remember, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. Occasionally, student writers will change the pronoun when they shouldn't. Let's take a look. When one first sees a painting by Georgia O'Keeffe, you are impressed by a sense of power and stillness. The pronoun here is you. The word it's replacing is one, and that's incorrect. One here is being used to describe, a person, a general person. When one sees a painting by Georgia O'Keeffe, you are impressed by a sense of power and stillness is incorrect. One way of rewriting it would be upon first seeing a painting by Georgia O'Keeffe, one is impressed by a sense of power and stillness. That's one way of correcting it. Another way of correcting it is when one sees a painting by Georgia O'Keeffe, he or she is impressed. And we'll get into that in a moment, whether the use of he or she. If we had known about the ozone layer, you could have banned aerosol sprays long ago. Again, this is also incorrect. If we had known about the ozone layer, we could have banned aerosol sprays long ago. So we're running into a couple of problems. One is using the word you, and that's something that we commonly use in spoken English. We'll say, all right, when you go to the airport, there's a bunch of things that you have to do before you get on a plane. You have to go through security. You have to have your ticket checked. Okay, so we're using the pronoun you here, but we're not using it for what it really means. What you really means is you, when you are addressing another person. All right, when I say you, when I'm talking to you guys in this, I'm talking to you, my class. When we say, when a person goes to the airport, all right, you have to go through security, you have to get your ticket checked, we don't mean you have to do it. We mean everyone has to do it. All right, so we mean every traveler has to do that. Not just you, but everyone. Again, we do that commonly in spoken English. It's a casual way to speak. When we are writing our papers and we're trying to be very precise and clear, we have to be careful of the way we use you. Because when we use you in an essay, we are addressing the reader directly. So when we are writing, when you have to go to the airport, there are a number of things you have to do. We don't mean the reader. We don't mean you, the reader. We mean every traveler. So one way we might correct it is when a person goes to the airport, okay, now what pronoun do we use? The correct pronoun, the correct way to write it would be he or she. When a person goes to the airport, there are a number of things that he or she must do before getting on the plane. The problem here is that writing he or she over and over again becomes very tiresome for both the writer and the reader. We don't want to write, when a person goes to the airport, there are a number of things he or she must do before he or she gets on the plane. He or she must go through security. He or she must have their ticket checked. It gets very tiresome. What people are trying to do with the language here now is to replace he or she with they. When a person goes to the airport, there is a number of things they must do before they get on the plane. The problem with that is that person is singular and they is plural. Okay, so how do you change that? Well, you might change the noun by saying, when travelers go to the airport, there are a number of things they must do before getting on the plane. They have to they have to go through security, they have to have their ticket checked. That's a correct way to do it. This is also being complicated now by the move to make pronouns gender neutral. People who identify as not being he or she want to be called they. This is kind of an ongoing discussion in the realm of the English language. The English language does not change easily. It's very old and it does not change all of a sudden. So to be correct, to be grammatically correct when you're writing an essay, make sure that if you use a person, you replace that with he or she. And if you don't want to write he or she over and over again, you change person to people or another plural noun. When travelers go to the airport, they must go through security. All right. Again, the main goal here is to be clear. We use proper grammar and punctuation and things like that to be clear so that we don't confuse the reader. So the best way to do that is make sure that your subject and your pronouns agree in number, whatever way you have to do it. All right. So make sure that they agree in number, and make sure that when you use the word you are directly talking about you, the person reading my paper. When you are proofreading, one of the things you should look out for is use of the word you. And if you're not directly addressing the reader, change it. Okay. Next common error is a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment is a group of words, a piece of a sentence, a group of words that does not have a subject and a verb. For example, Marie Antoinette spent huge sums of money on herself and her favorite people. Helped bring about the French Revolution. Helped bring about the French Revolution does not have a subject and a verb. So you could change that to Marie Antoinette spent huge sums of money on herself and her favorite people. This helped bring about the French Revolution. You got a subject, you got a verb, you got a full sentence. Okay. The old aluminum boat sitting on its trailer does not have a subject and a verb. You would change that. One of the ways you could change that, depending on what the author meant, is the old aluminum boat was sitting on its trailer. Now you've got a subject and a verb. We returned to the drugstore where we waited for our parents. Where we waited for our parents is a sentence fragment. The way you could fix this is we returned to the drugstore, comma, where we waited for our parents. Now it's correct. All right. Next common error is wrong tense or verb form. Remember, we talked about one of the benefits of the English language is that it lets you reference numerous different points in time while always being clear to the reader what point in time you're referring to. By the time Ian arrived, Jill left. This would correctly be written as by the time Ian arrived, Jill had left. Now you're talking about a point in time before another point in time. By the time Ian arrived, Jill had left. Okay? And now that's clear to the reader. Occasionally, you have instances where authors will try to invent their own words, and it doesn't work because if the reader doesn't understand those words, you are not getting your point across, and therefore you are not conveying your thesis. The Greeks builded a wooden boat that the Trojans taked into the city. Not correct. That would be correctly written as the Greeks built a wooden boat that the Trojans took into the city. So now, again, you are referencing two different points in time, and the reader understands you more readily. Okay? Right. Attendance question. Very simple for this class. What is the address of the White House? That's all I want, is the address of the White House. Email that to me here at that email address, the street address of the White House. Okay? Moving on. Another common error is lack of agreement between the subject and the verb. Subjects and verbs have to agree in number. The first sentence, a central part of my life goals have been to go to college. A central part of my life goals have been to go to college. That is incorrect. The subject of that sentence is part, not goals. Goals in this sentence is the object of the prepositional phrase of my life goals, right? So the sentence correctly would read, a central part of my life goals has been to go to college, all right? Next sentence, the two main goals of my life is to be generous and have no regrets. In this sentence, the word goals is the subject. Life is the object of the prepositional phrase. You see in the first sentence where it says, of my life goals, makes goals the object of the preposition, not the subject. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase, of my life, in that prepositional phrase, life is the object of the preposition, okay? And in this second sentence, the two main goals of my life are to be generous and have no regrets. That's the way it would be written correctly. A good way to do it is to find the verb and then find out what is doing the verb. What word is performing the action that the verb describes, okay? The two main goals are to be generous and have no regrets. All right, the goals are to be generous and have no regrets, not life in that second sentence. All right, so you want to make sure that you have the right verb form for the subject. The senator and her husband commutes every day by train from suburban Maryland. The subject of this sentence is senator and her husband, makes it plural. So the senator and her husband commute every day by train from suburban Maryland. All right. So, you have to make sure that the verb agrees with the subject. I so wish we could be doing this in a classroom, because it would be much easier for me to be putting these on a board and showing you, but we got to make do with what we have. The next sentence, each of these designs coordinate with the other. That is incorrect. The subject of that sentence is the word each. Each is singular, so it takes this singular form of the verb. Each of these designs coordinates with the other, right? Each coordinates. Of these designs, again, is a prepositional phrase. Designs is the object of the preposition. You don't make the object of the preposition and the verb agree. You make the subject and the verb agree. So the subject of this sentence is each. Each is singular. So the correct way to write it is each of these designs coordinates with the other, right? The next sentence, many of these designs coordinates with the other. That's incorrect. The subject is many. Many is plural, so it would take the plural form of the verb. Many of these designs coordinate with the other. Many coordinate with the other, right? So again, this is something to do in proofreading, is you need to make sure that the subject and the verbs agree, that the verbs are agreeing with the subject of the sentence and not another part of the sentence. All right? Again, would be much easier to show you on a, on the whiteboard in class. Hopefully this is something that you learned earlier in your education and is sounding somewhat familiar. Any questions, feel free to ask me about it, all right? The next common error, missing comma in a series. A series is words or groups of words that are separated by commas in your sentence. Sharks eat mostly squid, shrimp, crabs, and other fish. The way to do this would be to write sharks eat mostly squid, comma, shrimp, comma, crabs, comma, and other fish. Now that last comma before the and is an Oxford comma. There is a debate amongst writers and editors, amongst people who use Oxford commas and those who don't. I do like to use them. If you left out that comma after crabs and before and, the sentence would not be incorrect. You could write it, sharks eat mostly squid, comma, shrimp, comma, crabs and other fish. That would be correct. You could do it either way, but you do need commas in the entire series. The last sentence, a prestigious car, a large house, and membership in an exclusive club are sometimes seen as signs of success. That would correctly be written as a prestigious car, comma, a large house, comma, and membership in an exclusive club are sometimes seen as signs of success. Do we put a comma after club? All right, membership in an exclusive club, comma, are sometimes seen as signs of success. No, we don't, because exclusive club is part of the subject. There's no reason to separate a subject and a verb with a comma. So you would use commas in that series, but you would not put one after exclusive club, comma, are sometimes seen as a sign of success. That would be incorrect. There's no reason to put a comma between your subject and your verb. Okay? All right. That was a lot to go over. Again, I hope some of it sounded familiar from prior education, and I hope some of it is coming back to you. Again, much easier to show you in a classroom, but we have to make do with what we've got. All right, dates going forward. Your Essay 3 revision is due Wednesday, April 29th. That is this Wednesday. If you are re-revising Essay 1, if you were not satisfied with the grade you got on Essay 1 and you're revising it again, you must get that to me by Monday, May 4th at 6 p.m. That's the deadline for revising graded copies of Essay 1. If you are re-revising a graded copy of Essay 2, that must be in by Friday, May 8th at 6 o'clock. All right? You're going to be handing in Essay 3. I'm going to grade that and get it back to you. If you are not satisfied with that grade, you may get it back to me by our final exam day, which is Wednesday, May 16th by 6 p.m. And Essay 4, which I'm going to assign to you this week, is due on our final exam day, which is Wednesday, May 13th, also by 6 p.m. I'll give you, the day to work on that. If you are if you suspect that you are going to have to give essay 3 or 4, I'm sorry, if you suspect that you are going to need to give me your essay 3 revision of the graded copy or essay 4 to me after May 13th, you need to see me beforehand. You need to talk to me beforehand about it. If you do not have permission to hand in your essay 3 re-revision or your essay 4 revision, if you don't have permission to give them to me after May 13th, I will not accept them. All right, so if you're gonna give me those papers late, please email me and let's talk about it. All right, and I'll be reasonable about it. But if I don't hear from you, and suddenly on May 15th you're going, hey, here's my copy of here's my essay 4, I didn't get it to you before, I'm not taking it. Okay. I have to give your final grade for the course to the university by May 20th. So after that, we're done. I can't do anything with you or for you after May 20th because your grade will have been computed and handed into the university. If there are questions or problems about any of that, please email me. All right. I am very happy to talk to you about any questions or problems you're having. All right. So we have this week, we have next week, and the week after that is finals week. So for this week and next week, we'll be talking about proofreading and essay 4. And then we're done. All right. So again, questions or problems, email me. And that's it for today. I will see you Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you Wednesday on YouTube. Okay? Bye-bye.